You know what's cool? Ninjas. Like, who doesn't like ninjas? You know what else is cool? Shinobi. Like, who doesn't like Shinobi? A classic ninja video game franchise that first was bestowed upon us in 1987 is indeed coming back, folks. We have Shinobi Art of Vengeance. This game was announced as coming to pretty much every platform: Xbox Series X and S, PlayStation 4 and 5, Switch, PC on August 29th, 2025. And this game looks absolutely awesome. I mean, it's hand-drawn 2D action, which everyone loves. Joe Musashi, the original protagonist of Shinobi, is indeed back. His village has been burned to the ground, his kinsmen turned to stone, and now he's got to figure out what is going on here. I have to do some cool ninja stuff. This game looks absolutely fantastic. There were tons of Easter eggs in the original trailer as well. You can pre-order the game right now for 10% off, and I mean, I'm going to pre-order it because I am a Shinobi fan. Everyone should be a Shinobi fan, and this game looks absolutely fantastic, and I'm so glad that Sega is bringing it back. But Sega reached out to me and asked me if I wanted to do a sponsored video talking about Shinobi, and I could pretty much talk about anything involving the franchise when it came to Shinobi. And I was like, yes, I would like to make a video for you guys. So shout outs to Sega for sponsoring this video. And I kind of got to thinking, like, where did I want to go with this video? Because, you know, I could go back to the original 1987 arcade game that was just absolutely mind-blowing. One of the first, if not the first, true ninja-style games that captivated arcade audiences. Was then, of course, ported to the Master System. Shinobi became a huge franchise on Sega platforms, so I could do some of those Shinobi games. You know, maybe the often forgotten Shinobi game on the Sega Saturn. Maybe talk about Shinobi's entrance into the 3D era with PlayStation 2. But no, I have a specific Shinobi game that I want to talk about, and it is the last new Shinobi game that we ever got, that released back in 2011 for the Nintendo 3DS, and that game is called Shinobi. It was a game that came out on the 3DS. It came out a few months after the system launched because of the fact that Sega was a little bit leery about the initial system sales of the system, so they did push it back a little bit. But Shinobi on the 3DS is a game that means so much to me. It is arguably one of the most important games of all time to me personally, and I want to tell you guys kind of why that is, because on the surface level, like, yeah, it's a really good game. You play as the father of Joe Musashi in this game, as it does take place a bit in the past. And the game itself is, you know, tried and true Shinobi. Obviously, with the Nintendo 3DS, they tried some different things, such as having, you know, 3D backgrounds and stuff like that. And I think it really makes the game pop. I really like the art style of the game as well. And although, you know, the 3D doesn't really translate all that well as far as you're viewing this video, when you're playing it on a 3DS with the 3DS 3D slider kind of cranked up, like, it does give a really good depth of field to the visual quality of the game. And I really enjoyed it. The gameplay, I mean, it's Shinobi, bro. Like, this game, I remember, was not an easy game. It was something that I definitely struggled with quite a bit. You know, parrying stuff, you had to parry in the game, but I liked the gameplay. I liked the level layouts, and it was challenging. For some people, that was a bit of a turnoff, but the challenge of Shinobi games has always been something that, you know, it's kind of known for, especially when you look at games like the PS2 game of Shinobi. Like, that was a super difficult game. These games were about trial and error and trying to perfect your craft as a ninja, much like you would do as a real ninja. Of course, you have a variety of different sub-weapons, such as your shuriken and stuff like that. It was a super fun game, and I really enjoyed the game. And you guys, if you know anything about me, you know that I actually sold off most of my video game collection. But I kept certain games that meant something to me. I kept certain games that I had an emotional attachment to. And Shinobi on the 3DS was one of those games. And I'm sure you're thinking to yourself, well, why? Like, what was so important about Shinobi on the 3DS that you kept that game and you have such fond and strong memories of it? And that's honestly because that was the first video game I ever reviewed as a video game, I guess, personality or something like that. I had to go into the Wayback Machine here to pull this up because this website is long gone. But this was the first game I ever reviewed for a video game website. I reviewed it on January 4th of 2012, Shinobi 3DS, and this was literally the first time I ever entered the sphere of video game, journalism, and by extension, things like this brought me to where I am now. So I thought it would be fun to kind of go over and kind of look at the review and just see, like, I guess how much I have changed as far as an individual is concerned. You could see here, there's a screenshot here. God only knows where I got that screenshot. It was probably from Sega's official, trailers and official sequences. But like, I like the graphics of the game. I definitely did say that the game was very difficult. I had to cheese it a little bit. I had to use beginner mode, which gave you infinite lives to beat the game, and I struggled with that. Some cheap deaths, pitfalls, somewhat unbalanced platforming. I don't know whether there's a space in between there. I was still a bit new into things. But, this game was so important to me because, like I said, this was the first time I ever got involved in the video game world. And, just looking through this review and remembering certain things, like the full history of every Shinobi game being in the game, including Alex the Kid in Shinobi World, which was, kind of a spin-off to that. You got level replays and stuff like that, free play mode. Like, this was just, it's so crazy to me. It's so crazy to me because this was back, like I said, in 2012, and 13 years later, like, here I am still, and if it wasn't for Shinobi 3DS, if it wasn't for this being my first review, I don't know if I would be here right now. I don't know. So my attachment to Shinobi is, like I said, it's probably very different than a lot of other people's. Like, I thoroughly enjoy and have enjoyed Shinobi games throughout, the years and stuff like that. But when this opportunity came up, I was like, I'm going to probably have the most unique perspective out of like everyone when it comes to Shinobi, because, how many people got their start to where they are now because of a Shinobi game, specifically Shinobi on the 3DS. So maybe, to bring it all back full circle, maybe Shinobi Art of Vengeance will be a start for a new generation. If you're on the fence about, wanting to get into content creation or wanting to get into writing or something like that, like, you just got to take the plunge, man. You just got to hope for the best and take the plunge. And maybe, just maybe, on August 29th, this will be someone else's first opportunity to review a game. So I want to give a huge thank you to Sega for reaching out to me and, coming up with this video. And I hope you guys enjoyed this video, because this is something that's just, very personal to me, because I would not be here right now if it was not for Shinobi on the 3DS. Are you guys excited for the upcoming Shinobi Art of Vengeance game? Let me know. Let me know what platform you plan on picking it up on. Like I said, there is a 10% pre-order or 10% off pre-order bonus right now for the game. So go ahead and just pre-order it. You're going to buy it anyways because it's Shinobi. And as always, guys, thank you for checking out this video. Huge thank you to Sega for sponsoring this video as well. I love Sega. What can I say? And as always, I'll catch you guys on the next video. Later.